morning, everybody. Afternoon, evening, wherever you're watching us from, there's listening to us. Of course, before we start the show, we have a disclaimer because, of course, we have a very, very controversial show, as we do every week. But the views and opinions stated here today are those of our guests, and not necessarily the opinions of the Auto Hub Show or Ian and Jeff. Ian.
Thank you. And just in case you're going to be in Las Vegas for driving sales coming up next week, I believe it is, we will be there live. So meet Ian and Jeff live at the Auto Hub Show at driving sales at the, I think it's at the Bellagio Casino Hotel. And if you want to save, you can use discount code Auto Hub Show, all one word, all caps, I believe, and you can save on tickets. So let's get into it. Go ahead, Jeff.
Isn't it true that they give us a chip to go to the tables if you sign up on through our link?
Don't know.
We get like a $2 chip, don't we?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what they're doing. But anyway.
So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time to enjoy us. And we have a great show, some great guests as always. First of all, I'm going to start with JB Floyd, who has been on the show before, but hasn't been on for a while. So JB, I'd like you to introduce yourself, say hi, but also there's been some quotes on the topic of OEMs versus dealers. And there's some quotes here that are made by C-suite executives, translation big shots. And, one quote is the vehicle. There's no inventory. It goes directly to the customer, 100% remote pickup and delivery. Then we have this opportunity to use our physical presence to outperform them. Secondly, we want to have more proximity to the customer and therefore have better control over pricing. That's why we're moving from the current dealer role. And the third one, which there's hundreds, is the dealer represents the manufacturer. It's the person you deal with. Right now, they're not representing the brand very well by trying to jack people around. So obviously, you can't address each of them, but JB, introduce yourself and just give an opinion on this what seems to be quite the attitude from the OEMs.
Sure. So I'm JB Floyd. I work with dealers to help them improve their ROI. So I've been following this now for several months and everything. And the way I view this is that are there some dealers that have been less than stellar on their customer experience? Absolutely. But is that in every brand out there, everything? It all depends on what you're doing. You don't even have to be a franchise. Just it really boils down to management, and it all comes tops down. My concern is that they're not really addressing the problem, but they're using it as a scapegoat. So I don't see, and I could be wrong, I don't see how a manufacturer can vastly improve the customer experience. I feel like that's probably going to go, I don't want to be harsh here, but in the toilet if that happens. I just don't see it happening because dealers have that local presence and that the local feel for what's going on in their area, even the larger, deals, because you're dealing with people that live there. They may be transplanted, but they become part of the community. And I just don't see it happening. I think a better way to do it is to have more control over, having the dealer, having the customer experience up where it needs to be, not taking over. I just don't see it as a viable option.
Great, thank you very much. It's a very good point. I quite love the last comment of the last person. Of course, I'm not telling you who they are just because, what the heck, we don't want to start too much of a fight. But right now, they're not representing the brand very well by trying to jack people around. And all I can think of is some comments made by people that have Teslas as their customer experience. Our second guest that we have today is Brooke Furness, joining us from that little tiny town of Chicago. Brooke from BZ Consultants. Brooke, give me your opinion on this general attitude of the OEMs. And I know you posted a couple of things that got, all I could think of was, are you ready to rumble?
Yeah, anyone that knows me or has heard anything knows I have some pretty strong opinions on this. And they're not just opinions, they are based on fact, hence the shirt and hence the name of anything I do. I base things in facts. And so with that, I don't know if anyone happened to catch the Axios article that was posted. They did this, in fact, I've got it pulled up in front of me right now. It was sent out, they did it September 30th, just recently. If you haven't had a chance to read that, please go read it. Anyone that follows me, it's up on my LinkedIn. A lot of people have been talking about this, but just to, once again, go on facts here. When you look at what the consumers are looking for, hey, do they even want to go that? If you look at past experience, Ford's tried to do this before, it's fallen flat on its face. Just a couple of stats on this. Right now, EVs make up about 5% of new car sales. Obviously, it's going to grow. If you look at California, they're pushing that as well. For 2035, New York is looking to do the same thing. But you look, okay, what is the customer looking? Does the customer say, hey, I want that Tesla experience. I want to go full end to end. That's what I want. No, they do not. And why is that? Like, what are the numbers on that? If you look on the human behavior right now, it's 57% prefer a traditional approach, while 20% want the Tesla approach. Now, okay, that's one thing. We look at the EVs, because obviously EVs that's the big buzzword right now. Everyone talking about EVs. We're going to go electric, yada, yada, yada. And I'm coming back to the whole OEM approach here. EVs, 74% said they would prefer to buy at a dealership rather than an auto manufacturer or a third party. Nearly 1/3 of shoppers expect car dealers, not an OEM, to be a primary source of EV information. So how does this come back to our dealership lands? Oh, are they going to get rid of us? If they go that way, dealerships will be more like an Apple Genius Bar. There's still going to be that person that says there's so much hand holding. I cannot stress enough. Right now, I was talking to a friend, and just the charging, like they start spouting out stuff. I go, where the hell did you get this information? Like, you're so out in left field, and my heart goes out to you. That information is not even remotely correct. Like, so there's misinformation out there. They don't know what they're doing. So when it comes to the source of what is true and what is factual, dealership's going to be there. The dealership is so ingrained in the community to say, we're just going to get rid of you. That's not going to happen. Like, we're going to be more like an Apple Genius Bar as the Axios. So I'm going to use their words of what they've said here. And you look at Apple, same thing. There's a reason why they continue to pump so much money into their Genius Bars, because people still want to come and touch and feel and ask questions and all that. So to your original question is, you still have to have the dealership, and dealerships in general have got to change their mindset to say, hey, we're here to help, we're here to do this. And some people are already on that way, but some others that are, I'm going to call dinosaurs, are going to have to change their mindset, or they're going to be extinct like dinosaurs.
Well, thanks for that. That's a very good point. And, the people that we have on today, we know that we're going to be leaning a little bit toward the dealer viewpoint thing. Jim Farley said he wouldn't come on because he was embarrassed. And I don't know why, and the latest president of Mercedes, he just sent me something and said, cease and desist letter, something like that. We're going to leave our beloved Larry till the last of our guest introductions, just because there may not be enough time for Larry's opinion. But just bringing us in from the fine state of New Jersey is our friend William Camastro of Gold Coast Caddy. And Bill, I just mentioned things about there's some quotes that were made by some dealers, some OEM big shots that are their opinion, what they want to do, and they want to be 100% remote pickup and delivery, and they want to have better control of the pricing. That's why they want to move on from the current dealer role, and that right now the dealers are representing the brands very well by trying to jack people around. So say hello, please, and give us a very brief opinion on these comments.
Sure. My name is Bill Camastro. I'm the dealer principal at Gold Coast Cadillac. On what you just mentioned, if everything that you're paraphrasing is true, then we'll have Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos selling all the cars on the planet. Maybe Richard Branson also. Do we really believe that we're going to get to a point where everything is done digitally, remotely, and not by human beings? You're out of your mind if you believe that. To me, this is my opinion. There is a balance between human interaction. We all desire human interaction, and candidly, good human interaction. I think the young lady that was on prior, she made a very valid point. We have to adapt. We have to change. But still, at the end of the day, whether it's remote delivery, phone conversation, even the way you text, the way you email, anything you do, it has to promote engagement of the person that is your consumer. Because if it doesn't matter what tool you use. It really doesn't. Candidly, I felt like I was becoming a dinosaur 15 years ago. And then I decided to make the jump into this world and to try to understand things at a level that, some of the people younger than me, like my own children, would understand. And I will tell you, all it is it's like today's telephone, right? The internet's like today's telephone. You got to be where people are to be able to engage people. And if people are on the internet, you've got to be there too. If there are dinosaurs that want to buy cars with a newspaper tucked under their arm still, I want to be there too. If you want to listen to the radio, I want to be there too. If you want delivery at your house, I want to be there too. If you want to come visit me, I want to be there too. So I think there's a lot of validity to that comment. I just don't think it's absolute, in my opinion. It's not absolute.
I agree 100%. I mean, I saw a really interesting post this morning from a dealer. I won't name the dealership name, but he says, which type of lead do you prefer? New car lead, used car lead, sell your vehicle lead? And I said, all of them. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, they're all customers, dude. Anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
Let me just say one thing before you move on, and it's very quick. I still subscribe to an old-fashioned philosophy. You can't win a fist fight if the other guy doesn't show up. So I want everybody. I want my opportunities with everybody to try to make it a positive experience. So it doesn't matter who it is. I want all leads.
Exactly. Go ahead, Jeff. Thanks for that.
And then last, way not least, our beloved big fan of our show, new sponsor from Career Changers USA and maybe Canada, Larry Feldman. So Larry, you've heard me mention this 2 or 3 times now. So very briefly, say hi, and notice I said very briefly, and give us your opinion on this.
Hi, very briefly, and I appreciate you not mentioning me as the cause for your disclaimer of your show for a change. Not that I would ever be controversial. Of course, Bill and Brooke and JB are all right. I'd like to take a more technical aspect to look at the relationship between the OEM and dealers and turn to my favorite band, the Rolling Stones. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards have been feuding for about 30 years. But the problem is they can't fill stadiums and make zillions of dollars without each other. The OEM needs dealers and the dealers need the OEM. While I was always tired as a dealer of hearing every answer be take more cars. I can't sell the cars we have, take more. They're one-dimensional, they're unifocused, maybe want to punch them in the mouth. Plus, Bill will back me up. They always took the kids, the special kids that sat in the back of the class and turned them into my reps. They were always the guys that came out that knew they had to ask us the questions about what the products were going to be. Having said that, I don't think we're going to go back into our body shops and craft our own cars. We need them to build them. They are beyond foolish to think that they can handle it. Everybody knows that people that buy Teslas are delighted until they have to get some kind of service. We are an essential part of this as they are, and it's just as foolish as California and a lot of these ridiculous states saying no gas cars by 2035, and then you've got Toyota, the head of Toyota, saying it's not possible. But everybody with some kind of logic knows it's possible. And my only other non-controversial comment would be, I saw the Elon Musk robot, and we now know what Joe Biden looked like without skin.
Political, I hear that Texas and Florida are outlawing electric cars by 2023. Just kidding. Ian, go on.
Oh, well, I had to mention a couple comments from one of our previous guests, Marco Manunetto. He actually sells Mercedes now, but he used to sell Audi in Toronto. And he had some comments. First of all, the manufacturers and the dealerships speak different languages. Local presence has little to do with customer satisfaction. it oftentimes works as a counterproductive way, especially in remote areas. But he also had another comment. Everyone brings up the Tesla model. The most successful model is the Genesis one, in his opinion, simply because they accommodate the clients 100%. From the words of a Genesis client, they made me forget I was buying a Hyundai. And then April Simmons had a comment. She was laughing, obviously, at Larry, but in addition to that, she wanted to comment, this show should get very interesting. So the reason I'm bringing up all this stuff, not to be, uncontroversial, is I've had some experience myself personally with a manufacturer, both in the Toronto market and in the Vancouver market, who owned most of the franchises at one point. And I actually set up a call center for them in both markets, where essentially they owned all the stores. And customers didn't know this. So, of course, customers would call in the call center and go, okay, which location should I go to get a better deal on a car? They owned all the locations. So it was quite funny, but we actually trained the agents to say, well, where do you live? You should go to your nearest store. But the other one that I think we've seen on the show before, there's a video if you want to look at it. I think it's Toyota New Zealand. They've been playing around with this for a while. What they did is they studied their customers by sending a survey, and the customers basically said, we don't like the process. They didn't get rid of dealers. They just changed the way the process worked for their customers. But when we look at Europe as a model, with the dealers not having inventory, for example, which is similar to the Genesis model, I think what's going to be happening is basically change. Not change in a bad way, but just change. But the question is, what do you think will happen in North America? I mean, we have franchise laws in North America. We have a strong dealer body. We obviously have new entrants. But what do you think is going to be the future? Like, what do you think the compromise is going to be? And let's start with William, since he's a dealer.
It kind of goes back to a little bit of what I was saying before, but dealers in general, I'd love every tool and everything that we have to be able to put us in a position where it was that easy, where we could put up a menu board and people would just buy from us, and or order remotely. If it was going to work that way, you'd have to have, unfortunately, you'd have to have fixed pricing across the board, and the industry would become so polarized that you wouldn't have competition. And then basically you'd have to pay a lot more to have a franchise in the right location. It presents a whole new set of dynamics. If we go too far in that direction, which will also bring a whole host of issues. Now, if you own an entire market, that's great, and you can do that, I guess, to an extent. But I think what we're seeing now is this is one of the other reasons why the public companies are still in such a feverish, buying frenzy, because they're setting up, strategic, selling models and selling modules that allow them to centralize their selling and their buying, of course, and how they handle consumers. What it's going to do is it's going to further take the mom and pop dealer out of the business. Even if they acclimate, even if they become that kind of a dealer. I'll give you an example. Joe Perillo out in Chicago. He's got ads in New York City and WFAN radio, number one sports broadcast in the United States, Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti in the morning. And he's advertising on New York City radio that they have I forget what the word he used, but he's selling cars. He advertises that he sells cars anywhere in the United States and will ship anywhere in the United States. He's advertising on New York radio. I would imagine he's doing it everywhere else in the country. And I know Joe Perillo very well. Look, it's great. It's great. But they're trying, we all used to worry about making sure that we dominated our local market for fixed operations. And the dynamic of going so far out of your area to sell cars. I mean, people are looking at their market like the public companies are. My market is everywhere I can sell a car. It's really changed because you can reach people almost anywhere. You really can. You can reach people almost anywhere. So in my opinion, I think there's going to be at some point there's going to be a pretty big backlash, because at the end of the day, you're going to have OEMs and you're going to have public companies if we don't change the way we look at this. And I don't think that's healthy for the industry. I I really don't. I think you're going to have problems with competition. You're going to have problems with monopoly laws. And I think we need to look at the business a little bit differently. For me, we're a very profitable, very large single point Cadillac dealership, which is unusual, okay, grant you. But, we candidly, we want to make sure whatever a customer can possibly see us in any way, shape, or form, that's where we are. We want to sell a car to the consumer the way they want to buy a car. And we want to be good at any one of the above. So that's what we focus on. That would also mean and includes digital retailing, selling cars over the phone, delivering cars remotely, concierge, free pickup and delivery, no loan-a-car service. We'll service any brand, model, or make. Purchase your car online. We use almost every tool available to us because we don't want to miss any opportunities. And the market's going to continue to shift as this mentality becomes more pervasive in our business. It's definitely going to continue to shift. You're a single point dealer, or you're a small company. What the young lady was saying earlier, I can't remember her name, but you have, even if you don't make it your sole business model, you have to be good at that part of the business, because you will call out a very important part of your business, and you won't be able to compete. If you're not selling cars digitally also, you're hurting your SEO, your SEO weight, and you won't show up in general searches very often as a single point or a small operator, unless you are operating in the digital world.
Bill, I bet you've had, because his original question also revolved around the franchise laws. I bet you've had some real good friends like I've had who've lost their franchise in 2009 when they decided that the franchise laws didn't mean a damn thing. So if we're not organized, we don't protect ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
As Franklin said, if we don't hang together, we will all hang separate.
Well, right. To your point, Larry, Cadillac just went through a franchise reduction over the Lyric, right? And they gave dealers a choice. So we'll cut you a check, or you got to become a Lyric dealer and spend $500,000 on charging stations and refurbishing and lifts and hoists and stuff like this. That's where we are today. I spent the money. Now we're being faced with, you want to be a Sell as Steve dealer, which is a $300,000 super luxury car. You got to spend $150,000, and you're not guaranteed to get the car. Can't even say you're a Sell as Steve dealer. And it doesn't guarantee you get a car. So if you don't think that whether it's the public companies or the OEMs that are trying to really kind of water down what a franchise agreement really means and how cars are going to be sold, you're out of your mind. So like anything else, we just have to be a step ahead, be better at it, and by all means understand all of it so we know what to do next.
And be proactive.
Hey, I would jumping in on that just for a hot second is that you first started seeing this not just it was probably 20 or 10 years ago, like Larry was saying. In 2020, just like you said, William, it was presented to 900 Cadillac stores you could opt out, and over a third actually opted out and took the buyout of it. We saw the same thing whether it was with website providers. Oh, it's a choice whether or not you have whatever website we're going to throw down your throat and shove down your throat. But if you don't do this, here are the consequences. Oh, but it's still your choice whether you want to have this. But if you don't do it, here are the consequences. So really, it's not a choice. And then the same thing when you started seeing all these digital retailing tools. Okay, you can do it. You don't have to do it. Okay, but you have to do it. Oh, but now you have to have this tool. But it's still a choice. And to incentivize that, we're going to withhold all of these cars from you. Oh, but you still have a choice. Wait, let me run that one more time. So I saw all of my dealers saying, I'm like, oh, wait, so you have 2 digital retailing tools on your site to suffice your OEM that is blackmailing you in essence, because you have to have this stupid tool on your site, because otherwise they're withholding and they're blackmailing you and extorting you because you can't get cars. So you're seeing the same thing happen right now, whether it's with, I just insert OEM at this point, because that's where it's going. And it's not just going, it's happening right now. You can't have these cars. You can't have this. You can't have this. And we're going to keep taking this crap from you. And I'm really surprised I just withheld a 4-letter word from my mouth right now. You guys should be applauding me. Is that you just can't. Thank you. We're just going to keep taking this stuff from you unless you play by our rules, and we're going to take our ball and go home. It's ludicrousy. So as dealers, really banding up. And I know that it's very tough when we're making record profits that, oh, I don't want to give it up because I might lose a buck. And it makes it so difficult because when you're taking, okay, we're going to give you X per car. Oh, well, then I can't give it up because that's a lot of money per car. And dealers have got to band together and find their voice and say, no, enough is enough. You're full out extorting us. This is insanity. So to put a bow on this is that it will go a certain direction, but it will go more that it's never going full length because the dealers are there, they're in the community. OEMs have no idea what it takes to be at their dealership. They cannot do it. It will fall on its face. It's just this constant, we're going to shove it down your throat until you choke on it. We don't care. You got to do this, and we will extort you any way possible, this way to freaking Sunday, to make sure you do it, because we know best.
Well, the best advice I always tell people is if you watch a boxing match, I'm an old timer, I like boxing rather than MMA. The last thing the referee says after obey my commands is protect yourself at all times. Because if you get hit on a break and get knocked out, your ass is still knocked out. Where blackmail and extortion is all we live with these days. Anybody that watched TV saw our robot president thank the Coast Guard, and then two of the guys he thanked are getting fired because they won't get the vaccine. You just got to be vigilant, and the fact that we're making incredible profits, everybody is. If you're not making profit now, you really run a bad organization. That's the most dangerous time, because when you're really doing fabulous, or you're really doing terrible, is when your judgment can be flawed. Correct, Bill?
Yeah, well, not only would I say correct, but having been on both sides of it in 38 years that I've been doing this, it's very easy for the people that don't have their personal investment in the game to make rules for the people that do. And candidly, nobody's paying me back for 2007 to 2009 when everybody was on the verge of going belly up. No one's paying me back for that. No one's paying me back for the 38 years that I've given everything I've got to this business. Nobody. And by the way, my understanding is we're in the business we create a business to make a profit. I employ 75 people at one Cadillac store. They all make at the high end of under normal times, of what most places pay. Okay, because I want to have a certain type of bit, but I get to make that choice. The manufacturer doesn't get to make that choice. I'm not anti-manufacturer. I know it's like the snake on the side of the road. If you know what it does, you pick it up, you put it on your front seat, and it bites you. That's what they do. I'm not saying they're snakes. What I'm saying is they can only deal with it from their perspective, and their perspective, like I was told many years ago, Larry, you probably heard this yourself. You're not in the car business until the first customer looks you in the face and tells you, go F yourself. Then you're in the car business. They never have.
By the way, I'm glad you didn't use the snake analogy with the OEM, because you get letters from the anti-defamation snake.
Many years ago, that's what they call sharecropping down south, right?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, it was interesting. My grandfather, my family owned a GM store in the greater Toronto area in Hamilton for 73 years-ish. And then General Motors said, oh, we have too many retailers. So let's get rid of the people that have been supporting us for 72 years. Let's get rid of those people. So that was interesting. But JB, you've been pretty quiet. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I don't follow politics a lot, but all I can say is this: is that coming from the deep south like I have, I've seen a lot of things, and there's more history down there than a lot of you foreigners and Yankees don't know. But no offense, Larry.
I'm in the car business. I can't be offended.
But when that's the reason why there's such a bad connotation when you mention the word carpetbaggers or scalawags. Originally, those people were set up to do a certain thing, but they came down and abused their power. And that's what you have is anytime you have an abuse of power. I mean, look at Ma Bell.
Yep.
We paid a buck or two for long distance a minute, so things have to change, but sometimes it's cyclical. Sometimes you just make a really bad mistake, if these OEMs do it, the truth will surface very quickly. And, then you have to backtrack. And, then is when the shift of control comes over to a different side. So, it's one of those things where we have to do, Bill was right. You got to do everything you can to build that customer experience. And, taking cars and, doubling and tripling the price just because you can is not the way to do it. And having a bad customer experience, I mean, it should be like concierge. You walk in and man, the customer is always is king. You're treated right. I always look at it like this. I don't know why people use the word customer, because everybody should be your client. Okay? And a client is for life. A customer walks into a convenience store. Client, you'll see them, their kids, their grandkids, the great grandkids, because you've done things right.
Thanks for that, Jeff.
It's interesting because we brought this topic up for the show because it's becoming more and more. Like Ian said, in Europe you've got it's a little different because dealers, in Europe generally don't inventory a lot, so it's a little bit easier to take over on that direct order. But of course, here in North America, I'm quite interested to see what's going to happen should any manufacturer do that. And then they have slow-moving product that they're pumping out left, right, and center, and nobody's ordering them online. So what are they going to do? But the question I have for you, and I'll actually start with JD because everybody else he's listening intently. But other than the fact that some dealers are conducting business a little bit questionably, like right now, a fellow was on LinkedIn the other day talking about crappy websites and crappy landing pages and why aren't people responding to leads better. And it's obviously right now they don't have to do anything good, and people are charging double and triple what they should for a car. Why do you think this topic has gained traction? Because we've got everybody talking about it.
Well, anytime there's a shift of the dollar where it's not going so well, you usually try to find a scapegoat. And so, it's kind of like, you remember the mortgage crisis, that little thing that happened in 2008, right? So, everybody knew what was going on. It wasn't until the money started dropping that everybody got upset. And, it's your fault. You did this. And everything.
Larry, I just want to put that on record.
only by because he's one of the top men I've ever met. But and I mean that. But whenever times are bad, you got to find a scapegoat. Before this started, there's a particular courier company. I'm not going to mention any names, but they're in bad shape right now, and they're shifting the blame. Oh, this happened, that happened. Well, all that stuff was going on for the past since you guys started. Why are you so upset about it now? Well, because money's tight.
Shorten their pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And so you got to, if you're a president or CEO, you've got to create value in your position or you're gone. Okay? So shareholders will put you out. And so what do? Here's the bad person. Let me get over here. There we go. Here's the bad person. Right? Here's the whole problem of our situation. And you know exactly what's going on. If you didn't, you had no business being CEO of that company. And I'm sorry, but I know.
Hey, can I throw just a quick small rebuttal in there? JB, candidly said he's not that into politics. So let me give a quick, brief education. When you go to Europe, there's a strong leaning towards socialism and a stronger central government as opposed to the United States, which was built on the strength of the states. And as we see more and more control of our lives and how we behave and what we can drive and where we can earn a living, and the beautiful thing is, it's like when young people say how great socialism is, and you ask them to point to one country where it's been successful, and they can't. If you're using Europe as a model, you might as well just take a screwdriver and stick it in your eye, okay? And a Phillips screwdriver, Ian, it makes more damage rather than a straight blade.
So moving right along.
Wow, moving right along on that one. Go ahead, Jeff.
Brooke, because I know you're apolitical.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I am. So a couple of things on pricing, just to kind of, I honestly don't remember what the original question was, but JB had said something. I just want to go off of that a little bit. Charging more is not the bad thing here, and because everyone does, and that's okay. I remember we were coming out of COVID, or not coming. It was like the first time I felt okay. I can go out and get my manicure and pedicure, and I'm not going to die. Like I was like, okay, I can do this. And I had been to that, and actually even right now. So I've gone to the place. I've been there forever. Very loyal customer, and anyone that knows me, I'm like loyal to a fault. And so I go, I get my, and I know I'm going to be paying more. Like everything's more. Okay, I'm okay with that. And I go in, and they go, hey, our prices have increased. I go, okay, I'm okay with that. I know that. They go, but here's what we're doing differently. I go, oh, okay. Like we're doing this and this and this, and then it was like some little whatever. Now I know that the little thing that they did wasn't going to cost them $30. It was probably cost them $5. But the way that it was explained to me, hey, we know that everything's increased, but here's what we're doing differently to justify that cost. And I know that they put up all the little plexiglass, blah, blah, everything costs more. And you are a service that you were shut down for a while. So I knew. And it just got me thinking of, okay, when I go into other places, do they even take the moment to explain the process of, hey, here's why it costs more. Bacon costs more. Your Xbox costs more. Hell, my Jordans cost more. Like everything costs more. So are we taking the time to sit down and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer Client, yeah, we know everything costs more. But here, time is the most valuable thing. We all want more of it. Do you know why it costs more? But here's what we're doing to improve the process. Here's what we're doing to improve your customer journey. You're no longer spending 8 hours at the dealership. Wouldn't you love to have that 8 hours back and only be here for an hour? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yeah, I would gladly pay more if I knew I don't have to spend 7 hours in the dealership. Oh, by the way, you're not going to get hit with the same email 15 times about the car you don't have anymore. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like just explaining, hey, everything, just sit down and have an actual conversation with a human being. Just little things like that. And I think too often I know too often we're just breezing through it because whether it's in our industry or in another industry, we're just, because we can, we're doing it. Sit down and have a conversation with your client about, here's why it does cost more. Not just, hey, inflation's happening. Yeah, well, everybody knows that because I have seen it over and over since January, just the reputation that people are getting slaughtered. Well, if you had a conversation, hey, here's what happened and here's why, people are way, way more likely to like, oh, I understand. Okay, it makes sense. Yeah. Hey, it sucks, but yeah, so does everybody else. Just slow down and have a conversation.
Two things. First, anybody that doesn't know Brooke, I met her at a conference. I actually met her on this fabulous show. I met her in Tampa. She does extraordinary things with dealers. She actually cuts, I can say bullshit, it's okay, I'm from America. She cuts all the bullshit out of the process and basically doesn't point bad fingers at your vendor, just shows you where the inefficiencies are. So anybody that doesn't know that about her, she's off the hook good. Second, when you're doing a speech, and I have been known to speak publicly, people actually pay me to shut up, not to talk. They say that the concept of a good speech is tell them what you're going to tell them and tell them what you told them. So that's the other reason Bill's going to nod his head. He's going to look like a dog in the back of a window. That's why the OEMs can never do what we do, because they're not going to put their arm around somebody and say, yep, you're right, used car prices are high, but I'm going to get you the best value. So we just hire Brooke, screw the OEMs. That was what we just said.
Thank you.
Haven't we just answered the question? And please, just bear with me on this. We've just answered the question, okay? It's all about the value proposition, right? What's the price? What's the value? You can raise the price and explain the value. You can lower the price, explain why. At the end of the day, just think about this for a minute. We started this conversation by talking about the whole world going completely digital and virtual. And we circled away all the way back to having a conversation explaining to the customer the value of what they bought. No digital tool is going to do that. No menu board is going to do that. Okay? There will always be a reason for human interaction, whether it's by phone, by text, or live in person. I think what Brooke said is what really, to me, is where the rubber meets the road. How to make that, you can take 2 hours with a customer, but if it's value added, it'll be the best 2 hours of a lot. You could spend 15 minutes with a customer and it seems like an eternity if it's all bullshit. You know, we have a philosophy, we talk about it in our meetings here every Saturday. The 3 things customers hate about us most and have for many, many years and expect when they pull up to us: bullshit, money games, and wasting their time. And any one of the 3 points at the other 2. If from the moment you meet that customer, you're engaging, or talk to them on the phone, you're engaging, and by all means, answer their question. It doesn't mean you have to answer the way they expect you to answer, but you got to answer. You can't answer a question with a question, which is what most amateur salespeople do. What's the best you can do on that car? Well, what did you expect to pay? That's what drives customers crazy. They ask that question. Why not respond to the customer? Listen, there's a market for these vehicles. There's a low, middle, and high market for it, but there is a bandwidth with which they sell it. Some of it relates to how many we have in a particular color, additional equipment, lesser equipment, factory advertising that may be supporting that particular model, make, and color. These are the things you explain to a customer that makes sense to them, that they can relate to, that makes them sit there and say, this is value added time. This person understands what they're talking about, and they will listen. Your website cannot do that. It cannot. It cannot think on its feet and respond in a way where a consumer says, wow, this is a smart website and answer all my questions and explain to me it's not going to do that. So our goal here in our environment is to take customers, use the virtual experience to elevate it to live engagement as much as we can. If we can't elevate to live engagement, we'll stay in the virtual engagement just long enough until we can get to the live engagement. And if the only thing we can do live is make a phone call and explain to them how to use everything in their car, my guys actually get in the vehicle at the store, in a light vehicle, they FaceTime the customer and do active virtual deliveries with the live virtual deliveries with the customers, because if that's the way they want to communicate, so be it. It doesn't change the way you buy the car. In fact, they'll go out and tell the whole world. They'll tell the whole world, hey, this guy got on FaceTime with me, showed me how to use everything in the car, talk to this guy. Well, the person they talk to might not necessarily want to do it that way. It's just, all it is a validation of the fact that we will take that extra step and deal with them the way they want to be dealt with, because not every 2 people are alike. They're just not. Anybody who's got a problem with their car, word to the wise. Anytime you have a person with a problem in your car, invite them to the dealership immediately. Come right back. Can you come in now? Right away. 99% of the customers will show right up at your doorstep. They will scratch their car, ding, or come right back in. I want to take care of it. Right. They'll come right back to the dealership. And the ones that won't, we'll send somebody right to you. And guess what? Your phone number, your personal cell phone number, becomes the most valuable tool that you can offer them. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than everybody else. I give every one of our customers, whether they buy virtually or whether they buy in the store, it's a thank you letter with my personal cell phone number on it. And guess what? Probably 5% of them use it. The other 95% tell the whole world what a nut job I am for giving out my personal cell phone number. But guess what they're doing? They're telling the rest of the world. So even if they have a negative experience virtually, they call me or they email me or they text me. So finding those ways of adjusting to the virtual world to be able to facilitate live engagement. If we're using our heads, we can make it work both ways. We can, but you can never take away the value of live engagement as long as there's a value proposition, something that Larry teaches on a regular basis.
Hey, Bill, I got to build on that. It's so funny you said that. You can't be buddies with a robot. And you said about the time thing, about how you can make time disappear if it's fun. They asked Einstein, they said, look, he was considered the brightest person on the planet. They said, could you explain your theory of relativity so that, a guy working in construction can understand? You don't have to be a PhD. He says, sure. It's how we perceive time. If your girlfriend sits on your lap for an hour, it feels like a minute. And if you sit on a hot stove for a minute, it feels like an hour. And think about how we all fear technology. I know Brooke is, as a wizard, we probably got people in the show that are way ahead of me, but nobody likes 9 phone prompts and then they hang up. So it still comes down to being human. You've got to embrace the technology, but if you're not human, if you're not smiling at people, even if it's over the phone, you're dead.
Well,
I know Bill was just beaten by a robot. Very sad.
Just to throw this in, you know, advertising and marketing is to drive your traffic. What you do with that traffic is up to you as the dealer. Now, hey, for me, I think everybody in the whole dealership should have sales training the right way, because you know, you can take it, but without the hassle. So, you know, if you're going through the service department and you need 3 things, you only came in 1 thing, let them know. Hey, here's things, you know, here's something you could need to do now. Here's something you could hold off. You know, things like that. You're going to double your money coming through, and you're going to have way more satisfied clients. But the sales process has to be there. And if you don't have the proper training for it, and I used to work with contractors and construction contractors, and they were notorious bad customer service. And I'd ask them, I said, well, where did you learn this? And they go, well, the contractor I used to. And I said, okay. I said, is he or she rich? He goes, no. I said, then why are you following what they say? I mean, you know, putting a nail in a piece of wood is one thing, but having the sales ability and customer service skills is a whole nother ballgame. And, you know, you can't, and I think that's where a lot comes from. That you learn because you were in a dealership that they did a certain way. And you go and you start your own and you go do it the same way. You know, you're not like some of the others that say, whoa, wait a minute. I don't like it this way. I want to find it.
Exactly. I mean, when you look at the average training for a new hire at a car dealership, or even people that work at a car dealership, whether it be accountants or whether it be service staff or technicians. I mean, I remember working at a dealership where we had one technician that we could actually bring out and talk to a customer, because none of the other technicians wanted to talk to customers. Like, I'm not talking to a customer. I just fix cars, man. Like, I don't talk to people. And I thought that was interesting, because do you talk to people outside of a dealership? Like your wife, I don't know, your kids, maybe you need those skills. So anyway, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, excuse me, but this has been a very lively conversation. And where do you think we're going to be in 10 years? So, Larry.
I think in 10 years, we'll be thriving. The world is tremendous. It's thriving. There is no group of people more resilient than car dealers. When you think of the gyrations we constantly have to go through, the industry will continue to thrive. This OEM thing will blow over. The electrical things will adjust themselves as they realize the target has to be pushed back. While I'm a little annoyed with some things that are going on in society, I think I'm optimistic about us and our industry, particularly with guys like Bill running a Cadillac dealership and the genius of J.B. Floyd saying everyone should do sales training. You can reach me right after the show, everybody.
Larry, I thought when he said, where are you going to be in 10 years, I thought for sure you were going to say Boca.
I thought he was going to say,
Hey, Bill,
I was going to say dead.
Bill, I bought the most beautiful house you ever saw in your life in Northport. And you'll love this because you're a businessman. I stole it. I got such a stupid offer for this house. We sold it. So I've had 100 people say, oh my God, are you okay with your house in Florida? I don't have a damn house. I'll buy it. I figured after the bump and after business falls apart. And if that's not lucky enough for you, Bill, I was in Sarasota at Ghetto Hyundai training and recruiting and got the last flight, the last seat out of Florida Myers on Tuesday. I have such deep concern and feeling because there's so many good people down there that got hammered to death. Yeah. Thank God Kamala is working on an equity basis.
I'll stay home and I'll silently quit and wait for my equity check.
I love Bill. Bill, let you and me get drunk and call the White House. We'll get arrested, but we'll look good in handcuffs.
You ever seen ever again? Larry, I don't look good in
10 years. I was like, hopefully I should still be alive. I thought, Larry, I thought you were going to say dead after 10 years. So I was like, okay, he's good. No, I'm going to echo what Larry said. Well, part of what he said, I think, but not all of it. I'll keep it very no, I think that for the most part, everything's going to level out. The pendulum always, as it swings, and that's the great thing about our industry, is that as the pendulum goes all the way one direction, it'll eventually come back to the other direction, and then eventually be like, okay, we're right back in the middle, and things are going to level out. And so as the madness is going on, whatever this middle is going to be, it's going to level itself out. The scare tactics that are going on right now, and that's the best way I can describe it, it'll pass as everything does, and it'll be fine. And our industry, I freaking love this industry, man. It is such a kick-ass industry. We have amazing people in this industry, and we're all gonna, we'll band together and we'll get through this, and we'll ride up the storm just like we do in 2008, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Go team, go.
A lot of these people, and the reason this topic is there, is they're seeing the success of Tesla. And Tesla, at some point in time, I'm not a historian or don't have that memory, said, we're gonna break the dealership model. We're not gonna have dealerships. We're just gonna sell online and there won't be dealerships. So meanwhile, not far from me, they bought a same dealership and they turned it into a Tesla dealership, and people are still not happy with the service experience. So I can see in the not too distant future in my crystal ball that there will be Tesla franchises, because as people walk in, they don't get the genius bar experience of a nice person in the golf shirt. They've got a totally disconnected person that has no interest in anything because there's really no skin in the game. JD.
Well, looking at the opinions of Larry and Brooke, I can't say where we'll be in 10 years, because 10 years is a long time. But I do know this. You've always got to have somebody to schlep. You got to schlep. What Bill said, that human interaction is what it's all about. Years ago when I was in a Toyota dealership, by the time the car was sold, me and the family were hugging. The kids, walking out with a handful of, candy or soda or, whatever. And, people kept track of me for years, and not to say that I never say I'm, that salesperson. Man, I love people. I love getting to know people, and having that relationship is what it's all about.
Hey, can I jump in there for a second, JB? Very well said. I just, on that note, and I'll shut up. We have our salespeople go outside in front of this Cadillac sign and take a picture with their customer when they're taking delivery of a car. And my managers post it, and I always get on right after they post it, and I say thank you for joining the Gold Coast family, and thank you to the salesperson for their professionalism. You can't believe what the customers do when they see that. They send that to everybody. So that it's a cost-free advertising that customers love to do for you. Because what did you just do? You made them part of your family. Everybody wants to be part of something, right? Everybody does. Everybody does. You get someone to hug you or take a picture with you, that says a lot in today's day and age. It really does. And the listings cost us nothing. I don't want to ever get to the point like JP was saying. I don't want to ever get to the point in my life or my people where they have completely lost the skills to, make consumers feel like they're part of something bigger than just the dollar amount they paid for a car, because that's the lowest value proposition you can make, in my opinion.
Bill, you could also do, I don't know if you guys do this or not, but I found with a bunch of my dealerships, we actually create Facebook groups for the we'll call it the ABC community group, whatever, or number one fans or super fans, and then invite them. So once you take that photo with them, invite them to the group. And then if they have like especially if you're really, really tight with the community, which most people are, most dealerships are, and then they can post like, hey, we just ran this marathon. They're like, hey, that's so great. And it lets them be a part of something even bigger of the dealership. And it makes them be a part of like, cool, I've got this going on. And hey, we're not, especially if you're like sponsoring events or whatever in the community with your clients and customers, that this makes them even more a part of that community.
No doubt. And we had a dealer of the year. We were Cadillac dealer of the year. I can go into the dealer of the year meeting down in Cabo in a couple of days. And we had a dealer of the year part, dinner dance, big band, the whole 9 yards. And we invited probably 30 of our most loyal customers. We have a lot of loyal customers. 30, we set up, I think, 3 or 4 10 tops for those customers. We made sure that we get pictures of them dancing, eating food, toasting cocktails, and so on. We put it all over the internet, and I got a tidal wave of messages and phone calls from customers. How come I wasn't invited? Now, you may think that that's a negative, but my response to them was, look, we want to invite everybody. And next year, the party's going to be bigger and have more of our customers at it. Let's be dealer of the year again. And you can't believe the way people respond to that stuff. It's just, so we had a tornado in our area not too long ago, and a number of houses were destroyed, cars, trees down, whatever. And I took a pickup truck and I sent a bunch of my guys out, and we put it on Facebook that if there was any emergencies they couldn't get first responders to right away, to call us. We'll do everything we can do to help them. And we sent guys out with chainsaw. They cut some trees off of cars. Some of it may seem small, or pull the car out of water and so on. You can't believe with stuff like that. It's not just about serving you at the moment. We sent a pickup truck out with 50 frozen turkeys, and we go to every fire department and every police department the day before Thanksgiving for the guys that are going to be working on Thanksgiving and not going to be with their families. Yeah, what does it cost me? $1,000? You can't. I mean, I tell you, my concentration of police officers and firemen that buy cars from New York City at this dealership is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't take. It's so much less than the conventional advertising, and it's got so much more shelf life from a social media perspective that it's amazing. But like JB was saying, you got to be prepared to do the work, and I think today's young people and the way they think. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I have 6 of my own kids that are between the ages of 23 and 31. I have so much of an advantage over them because I understand their world and they have no clue about my world. No clue. So I can use their technology, but have personal touch with their customers. Know both sides of it. Don't ever lose that.
Hey, Bill, can I come out and take a picture in front of your Cadillac sign? If you knew my brother-in-law, you'd know family can be a touchy subject around the fellows.
I do, but it's going to cost you $80,000 to take that picture.
JB, I need you to defend me here, brother. He's picture gouging.
Well, since it's the time, do we have any final thoughts, words of wisdom for the audience? Why don't we have Brooke go first?
Just once again, remember that who the customer is, and remember who that client is, and that they're a human being is great. And I know that I've said this prior, I think multiple times on the show, is that we are in the human business, and never forget we're in the human business, that people aren't buying cars. The car is secondary. They're buying the person and the human. The car is secondary. So as great as the technology is, and obviously I'm a tech person, that also comes secondary. And that if the processes aren't in place, if the humans aren't in place, and if we're not there to train humans, and all of those aren't talking and communicating, all the technology is not going to work. So talk to the human, talk to your clients, talk to your employees, make sure all of that's in place. And like I said earlier, just recently, is with the social media, if you're doing all this amazing community work, if it's, unfortunately, usually a lot of people don't want to be on social media, if that is not broadcasted, unfortunately, in your client's eyes and your customer's eyes, the public eyes, it did not happen. And I know there are a lot of dealers out there like, oh, I don't want to brag about it. You're not bragging. It needs to be out there. Get out there, do it, post it, continue to do that, because the OEM's not. And that is how we're going to, one of the many reasons why the dealer body will continue to flourish and do an incredible job. So human business.
Thanks for that. JB?
Well, I think one of the big things missing in training for everybody is empathy. Because, I've had clients, I've called before and I've been called everything in the book, and all I say to them is, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. I'll try you next time. I think when a customer walks in, it can't be me because they've never met me. Okay. But it's the situation that they're thrown in. They already are high level of nervousness. Am I going to get stuck? Or my friend's going to laugh at me for the price I paid for this car? All these things are going on. There are other experiences had maybe with other dealers. And so teaching that empathy to everyone, I think is vitally important. You can learn sales pitches. Okay, they're a dime a dozen. But really caring for the person and for each contact that you make, like Bill, I come give you a hug right now, man. You know what I'm saying? because you everybody here, because you guys you care about people, everybody.
That works for me, JB, because if you get Bill, I get Brooke. I like this.
And, so I think teaching that empathy, and you got to have somebody that has empathy to teach that. And I think that's, if you walk away with just that one thing, is that wherever you work, is how do I get these people to care about the people walking through?
Thanks for that. Bill?
So give it, I guess the last comment I'd like to make is, I've had this, I posted a couple things online this morning that really relate to exactly what we're talking about right now. And JB hit the nail on the head, but I maybe put it a little bit differently. I think we get to the same place, different words. We have to learn to be better for our people, not just good to them. And I mean, I kind of operate by the 90-10 rule. So I want to be good for them 90% of the time. I want to be good to them 10% of the time. But what I mean by that is I want to teach them to become more than what they are. Even if I have to push, pull, tug them a little bit to do that, but through repetition. And then when they succeed, you got to pat them on the back. You got to reward them. And I think if you want a good customer experience, you have to have a good employee experience. You have to. You're not going to have happy customers if you don't have happy employees. A happy employee is not just someone you give them everything that they want. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime, give him a fish, he eats just for today. And I think I subscribe to that. That was the best advice that was ever given to me many years ago. And then I'd like to put that together with, the famous phrase authored by Thomas Jefferson, the harder I work, the luckier I get. It's to me, that's so true. You look at Michael Jordan, he was lucky he hit that shot. Michael Jordan, the first to tell you, I missed 3,000 shots before that, but I took them all. I watched it, and I'll leave you with this thought. Go on Netflix and watch. It's one episode about Nolan Ryan, the pitcher. Watch it. It is absolutely riveting. First of all, what an amazing person and human being he is, over and above the pitcher that he was. He owns 51 distinct pitching records. Some of them are so big and so large, no one will ever throw 7 no-hitters ever again. No one will ever strike out 5,800 batters ever again. He had 2 no-hitters after the age of 41. And when you listen to him talk, the one thing you'd never know about Nolan Ryan was how hard that guy worked. They interviewed people talking about he'd physically work out 6 days a week. 6 days a week. The only time he took a day off from working out with weights, running, and practicing his motion was the day before he would pitch a game. Believe me, when you watch this guy and you watch what he did to become the greatest, or one of the greatest of all time, Gretzky's, those people, they don't stand out there and pontificate. They don't stand there and make political statements. They're not into any of that. They're into being the best version of themselves. And if we can teach our people to be the best versions of themselves, they will learn what the digital world can do for them. They will learn what personal interaction, what can do for them. And by all stretches of the imagination, be an example to your people of what your expectations are. Because if you don't perform the magic act at least once, they don't believe in magic. And I firmly believe in that. I'm in my deal every day. And I think it doesn't, maybe I'm not that good at this. That's why I have to be involved every day. I don't know. But I subscribe to show people how to do things, and then you can set expectations that show them that it actually works. And like JB said, train your people. Be constantly training your people, and also remain teachable at the same time. But great content today, guys. I really appreciate being able to be on this call.
Thanks, Bill. Larry, you have a final thought?
I do. Let's jump to the Bible, Ecclesiastes. Whatever thy hand shall find, do it with all thy might. Whatever you're doing, do it like it means, like it matters. Skip the bullshit. Forget the doom and gloom. Let everybody else talk. Show up to work. Smile at your customers. Man, act like you'll be dead tomorrow. Give it your best, and just keep rolling. And it was very nice to see everybody and talk to everybody.
Pleasure.
Hey,
do you have a thought?
a real quick close?
Yeah.
Dave, you're always welcome to.
Okay. All right. Somebody told me one time you can't buy Bibles at Hooters because they don't want to sell them there. The manufacturer, the question is, does the OEM understand retail better? The OEM isn't saying we understand retail better. The OEM's telling us that this is how they want our buildings to look. These are the tools they want us to use. And this is how we want the initial contact with the customer to be made. Even the guy that buys digitally online, he still picks which dealership that car's going to or that vehicle's going to. Everything that everybody says is totally relevant, okay? It's just, this is how they want it done, okay? It's just a new way of adapting. We spend millions of dollars on buildings to make them look how they want. We spend all this money to present the product the way the manufacturer wants to present it. That's all this whole discussion, I think, with all the manufacturers is about, how they want their product presented, okay? And where they want to sell it and how they want to sell it. We have to adapt from that point on and continue to do all the things that we're doing, I believe.
Thanks
Thank
very
you
much.
very much for that comment. And I have to say, it's a very interesting topic, and it's very timely. But what we're all saying is, if we do our job, we can succeed. If we don't do our job, somebody's going to come and get us, and be the OEM, the competition, the new competition, whatever that is. We thank everybody for here. Thank you, Dave, for piping in. We always love to have you, and everybody that's tuned in. Our guest today, wow, I knew it was going to be fun. It was, always fun to have everybody interact. And the best shows are when he and I don't get to say too much. And that's tough because we're like Larry, we love to talk. I'm going to leave it to Ian to close. Thank you all for being here. JB, good to see you. And have a fantastic week, Ian.
Yeah, I just want to say all our prayers with the people of Florida, North Carolina, and of course the Maritimes. Unfortunately, Hurricane Ian did a lot of damage. I'm sure government and local officials will help, but obviously help out where you can. If you know anyone in those states or provinces, definitely reach out. I know I'm still trying to hear from a couple of our friends in the Maritimes who got hit really hard as well. But our prayers are with you, and have yourself a great week. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us. It was a great show, and follow us anywhere you would like on your favorite podcast, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and of course on our YouTube, or subscribe to our own channel.